ahoy, fellow death row inmates.
And welcome aboard the Joy of Trek, a sociopathic podcast exploring the justice systems and the nanoprobes of Star Trek, all of it. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And fighting with appeals courts against the death penalty is your chief engineer, Greg.
Together, we're on a mission through the makeshift prisons of Star Trek to find the mark in every Talaxian and the excellence in every episode.
Even the glory hole force field?
Because every episode must be someone's favorite, and it might as well be ours.
So name your constellations and join us as we seek atonement into the joy of Trek. Comedy podcast.
Yes, okay.
Join Kaki and Kay on their comedy podcast.
You're all banned from suggesting more depressing Voyager episodes.
Okay, we don't mean it quite that harshly, but God, can you throw us a softball once in a while? Can we have this? Like, it's been a relentless onslaught of, like, existential dread and self-harm and depression, and now it's the death sentence.
Thinly veiled allegories for modern penal systems.
Really? Really? Oh, I hadn't even noticed that, Kay.
So, yes, we are doing Repentance, Voyager, Season 7, Episode 13 today.
Yeah, first aired on January 31st, 2001, written by Mike Sussman and Robert Doherty, and directed by Mike Vejar, and with some interesting guest stars.
Oh, do tell.
Before I tell everyone who was in this, why don't you tell everyone what happened in Repentance, Star Trek Voyager?
Voyager serves as a taxi service annex, psych board evaluations thing.
Okay.
Hard to make anything really good out of it, funny.
Yeah, it's really tricky. Let me see if I can... Oh, shall I give it a shot?
Sure, go for it.
Someone flirts with Neelix by saying he likes his food.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But turns out to be gaslighting him as apparently...
Right, yes, there's that. Yeah, it's a bit of a downer, this one.
It's a tough one, but hey, it was a damn good episode.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
Who recommended it to us?
Oh, let's go and find out. Was recommended by Rugger.
Oh,
friend of the show,
serial recommender.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rugger. And they say a lot of Voyager's preachy episodes fall flat, but this one always makes me pause. When I first watched this episode as a child, it shaped how I see justice. And plot-wise, Repentance does a great job of combining a dialogue-heavy, philosophical discussion with real pathos for the murderer Aiko, and linking that pathos to an ongoing character arc with Seven. Very good. While Star Trek is expectedly against the death penalty, this episode keeps from being one-sided by the subplot with Neelix and Joleg.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Because, Chief, what is the official synopsis of this episode?
After Voyager rescues the crew of a severely damaged alien vessel carrying convicts to their executions, the crew begins to question the aliens' legal system.
Thank you. Now, what did other people think about this?
Sci-Fi recommends this episode as for their 7 of 9 binge-watching guide.
Good, yes.
Heather Wants a Spaceship on Reddit says it brings up the age-old questions of is prison for punishment or for redemption. Some crimes absolutely have a chance for redemption, such as a child who doesn't have a trade so grows up to be a thief, and some I argue do not, like church leaders who are pedophiles. This one was a heavy episode, and yes, I appreciated how Seven struggled in this one.
And very good points are made by a person who goes by the name of...
Heather Wants a Spaceship.
Heather.
Scarlet Dawn 140842 says, I give the show major props for tackling mental health, and again compares it to Extreme Risk being another one which does very similarly.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, this is actually like a pretty strong example of Star Trek tackling heavy social issues, especially like in the early 2000s or late 90s, I should say, where this mostly came from. Mm-hmm. The correlation between criminal behavior and mental health and also like socioeconomic status and mental health outcomes, or ethnic disparities in socioeconomic status and mental health outcomes, and therefore like criminal patterns of behavior and the responses of a justice system. So there's there was a photon spread of opinions.
Oh, yes.
I imagine. I mean, like.
Well,
arguably it was a well-written episode.
Right, yes. Most people, most of the arguments win. Apparently, either people thought it was too harsh or not harsh enough.
Yeah.
Is, hallmarks of a good compromise. You piss everybody off.
And then what's the definition of harsh? Should it have been more vociferously against the death penalty, or
Right, exactly, yes. Like, should they be more against or more for or...
or show even more complex
Right,
scenarios.
yes. So, do we have any warp cores? I don't think so.
Yeah. Not really. I mean,
No,
you know,
only the issues that the show is actually addressing here. So,
right, yes, the existence of the death penalty in ostensibly first world country.
Right, yeah.
Singular?
No, they were like multiple planetary system, which is...
No, I mean, it's an allegory for the real world.
Right, yes.
Do we have multiple advanced economies with democracy and a death sentence, or do we have one?
Not entirely sure. Well, that's Japan, so that's 2.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so...
Good
yes.
company there.
Only warp core, and that's not really a warp core. It's a weensy little plasma event. Right at the beginning, there's they mentioned that like the Prime Directive prohibits them from interfering. Yet it is clearly a warp capable society. So why the Prime Directive shouldn't apply?
No, you're absolutely right. And there have been precedents. Captain Benjamin Sisko, who is willing to interfere with another culture's affairs by offering Tosk asylum in like the second or third episode of DS9. Had the latter formally requested it. Yeah, all those things. It's, the Prime Directive means whatever the writers of a given time want it to mean. And apparently it's really good, but we just don't... have we ever really seen the text of the Prime Directive?
Ooh, good question. I don't think so.
I mean, probably not in the HD era where you could actually read it off a pad.
Oh, yeah, good point.
I mean, it might have appeared on a screen when it was just, somebody's recipe for eggnog or all of their, least favorite grandchildren.
Or all the achievements you have to acquire for Enterprise Bingo.
By the Enterprise D, that's probably quite a substantial number. It's an advanced chip with a lot of functions.
And then, we never know if the tradition persists or not.
Oh, you'd like to think so.
Right. But of course, it's a new Enterprise. Like, well, it's the 4th one at that point, It's not the same as the one with the Scorch.
Or the 5th, by that matter. But,
yes.
Haven't we determined, yes, I think Strange New Worlds determines that when a new ship of a given name is commissioned, it always includes a piece of its preceding ship.
Sure. That's like the first stone being laid or something like that,
Oh, yes.
I can't imagine they'd take the whole panel for that.
No, that would be less than ideal, but okay. Look, I'm desperately trying to cling to our status as a comedy podcast. So for a few more seconds, before we actually delve into this episode, what do you think is on Enterprise D Bingo?
Oh, Enterprise D Bingo. Let's see. Ooh, let's see. I was going to say like cause the source of separation, but that's a separate.
Ooh. Tricky.
Wear a pressure suit and sit in the area in the disconnecting area or something like that.
Ooh. Streaking incitation ops. Do a rotation incitation black ops.
Okay. Do they have that on both the D?
Well, they have citation operations is on the map. And I think we actually get to see that in Star Trek Prodigy and in Lower Decks.
Oh, yeah. That's where they can do it more easily, yes.
Yeah. I guess the last square would be like sort of administrative. If you manage to somehow, without anybody noticing it, to relocate the daycare to one of the forward sections so that the daycare is actually under a label called shielding, then you've completed Enterprise D Bingo.
Yes. Sneak spot a treat.
Oh, wow. Ooh, yeah. Well, it's a perilous activity, that one.
Spot seems to be a fairly laid-back cat.
Yeah, I do wonder what they put in her treats before they roll the cameras. Poor
All right.
Worf.
So,
okay, yes.
Let's hit it on.
Oh no, a spaceship is in trouble.
Yes. Oh, we are going to... we are venting plasma into a conduit in the ship, radiation... Plasma radiation, 11 life signs. Let's beam them all
Two
aboard.
of them are weak. Yes. And?
Want security teams at both locations.
Yeah, so Tuvok goes in 2 directions.
Yes. I mean, he's not the only security guy, so... In the bay, we see 3 wardens and 7 prisoners, I think.
Yeah, something like that, who are immediately met by
6,
Tuvok's security team.
Yeah.
And they identify them like they won't want to hand over their weapon because...
Dangerous criminals, they have to be secured.
We'll do our best to accommodate you.
We had 8 men in custody. Where are the other 2?
Yeah, they're in sick bay. Where there is...
Cut to sick bay.
Cut to sick bay, where there's already an incident.
I'll kill her!
And that's it. And then we go to credits.
Yeah, that's, I mean, very concise cold opening, but yeah.
Hey, Chief, is this the shortest cold open in Star Trek history? Because it just gets you everything that you need in no time flat. It's very impressive.
It sets the scene, sure.
Okay, so if we don't count Encounter at Farpoint because there was no teaser there, then the shortest teaser that Star Trek had is Impulse, the Enterprise episode, with 20 seconds.
And when we return from the credits, we're still in sickbay.
Yes.
I'm sure we can resolve this without resorting to violence. What is it you want?
A ship, some food.
I might be able to arrange that, but you'll have to release her first.
I'm not a fool.
Yes, now we get to talk about the guest cast, because we are dealing with the character Aiko,
Yes.
who is played by Jeff Kober. Jeff Kober was also in China Beach, a 1988 series, which was about, Chief, what was it about?
So China Beach is an American war drama television series set in an evacuation hospital during the Vietnam War. It refers to Mai Kay Beach in the city of Da Nang, Vietnam, or nicknamed China Beach in English by the American and Australian soldiers during the Vietnam War. It was very much like a MASH type thing, and it aired from 1988 to 1999.
I don't think I've seen any of it.
Yeah, my mum watched that, and so
okay.
I sort of thought that I had osmoted it into my mind. It may have been a Vietnam thing. It may have been a military thing. I don't know.
No idea.
Alongside Robert Picardo.
Oh, okay. So they were old acquaintances.
Yeah, exactly. Robert Picardo played Dr. Dick Richard. Wow. And
Dr. Dick.
yeah, Jeff Kober played Sergeant Evan Dodger Winslow.
Right. Okay. Never heard of it. So
they have instant rapport.
the Tuvok and the warden come walking onto the sick bay.
Yedick is that
Yedick, yes.
that character, yeah. Who's played by, let me see, Tim DeZarn, who was also, he was also in Starship Mine, Die Hard on the Enterprise D.
Right. Okay,
I think he's the first one who bites it. He's one of the robbers.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, he kind of looked familiar, but I couldn't. I mean, of course, they're all quite heavily made up here.
Yeah.
That's well, we have 2 forehead aliens this episode.
I don't even know that necessarily Aiko and Yedick have the same foreheads.
I don't think
similar, but not identical.
Right.
And certainly not Joleg.
Right, yes.
The Bankaran.
Yeah, who's definitely a different species. These two we don't know, but it is said that the
Nigerians
that's
are
the
the main polity.
Nigerian, yes. I was just looking for the G where it says that, but yes, they are the main species of this
area.
Yeah, clearly several star systems.
And within their territory, there's like 11 species.
Right, yes.
That together make up the Nigerian. And of course, there are, don't you love it, species discrimination phenomena occurring. And,
He wants a ship, and he wants to get going. What I don't understand is why Tuvok just doesn't shoot him anyway with a stunner.
Yeah, it might just be against policy when someone's holding a weapon. On the other hand, they're in sickbay, even with a knife. What can he do that they can't immediately undo?
Right, There's a little bit of a scuffle as basically Seven takes matters into her own hand, elbows him. He quickly grabs the doctor, though. Then Tuvok really rudely shoots straight through the doctor.
Yeah, who says,
I'm a hologram. I can't be harmed.
He has such an eye roll when he gets taken hostage. Oh, this again.
Yeah, here we go.
You must be new.
You really picked the wrong guy, and that's not meant as a threat.
I also love that, one of the main focuses that the Doctor has is Yedick walking into the room. He just turns away from this hostage situation with, who are you barking orders in my
sick bay? Yes.
That man is my prisoner.
Well, he is annoyed.
If that were true, he wouldn't be holding my friend hostage.
Yeah.
He is annoyed that he doesn't get the opportunity to politicize him as
Talk him down.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to use his charm and his bedside manner to diffuse the situation. And he is.
Oh, I'm so excited. I did an elective on this. I did a Udemy course on hostage negotiation 6 months ago.
Okay.
I finally get to use it. No, I'm being the Doctor.
Oh, sorry, right.
Sorry, I was doing the Doctor.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I was wondering, okay, what have you been up to? It's, but yes.
So he's taken down, is Aiko, and we get this weird sort of tonal whiplash where now Yedick and the senior officers of Voyager are in the captain's ready room.
I couldn't risk letting any of the prisoners get away. As you've seen, they're extremely dangerous.
Where are you taking them?
Back to our homeworld. They're due to be executed.
You see the Voyager officers.
Yeah,
teeth are getting
this is
dry.
like a bit of a... as when Yedick leaves, that's what Chakotay says. It's like...
Some of the crew may not be comfortable helping to deliver 8 men to their deaths.
Which, yeah.
Yeah, nor the captain. But, she says, incongruously...
But we have a prime directive to follow.
And we're just going to assume that that's the case because we don't know any better. I mean, the prime directive means whatever it means for a given page of the script.
Sure, yeah. The Doctor is complaining to Seven.
30 more seconds, and I could have resolved the situation peacefully. Instead, you and Tuvok the Kid had to take matters into your own hands.
I really
I can barge in here and go do it.
He fritzes a bit, which Seven notices.
Yeah.
You're damaged.
And
Commander Tuvok's friendly fire must have caused a feedback surge in my emitters.
I'll help you repair it.
And now we're introduced to these 2 prisoners. One of them is unnamed and apparently unimportant to the plot.
Yeah.
And the other one is Aiko, and he's very central to this episode.
Because he makes some threats towards Janeway. He's like, yo, yes, if you let me out, I'll kill you.
Yeah, which is weird. Like lower this force field or I'll come out and kill you.
Yeah. It's like, you're not really giving me a good incentive here, but yes.
And we get our first of many touching of like
force fields.
Force fields get a real workout in this one. Let's see. Does the sound effect make it? No. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Okay, so to talk about our intro, the Force Field Glory Hole. Yes, I waited specifically for you to take a drink for. Before I said.
No, that's fine. Perfect.
I mean,
comedy co-hosting.
It's kind of missing one essential part of a glory hole, as I understand it, the fact that it's opaque.
Yes.
Because at that point, you might as well. You're just making it difficult for yourself. If you just have a hole, but you don't have the anonymity.
Yes.
You're just making it difficult to have sex rather than...
And for those who aren't aware what a glory hole is, and God bless you for being on the internet long enough to figure out what podcasts are and not what glory holes are for, just, you know what? Actually, I celebrate you and just vaya con Dios.
You're one of the today's lucky 10,000.
Yeah. It's, how would you describe it? It's an aperture for certain grown-up, private activities.
Yeah. Sometimes installed in bathroom stalls at seedier locations, sometimes facilities which are dedicated specifically to the activity.
Yeah. And I think that's about as much as we're
going to go with what we're going to say about it. Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. No, I think we made that.
Oh, what am I supposed to do with this edit? What am I supposed to do with this edit? I don't know. I can't bleep out every time you say this word, Cocky. You say it so much. What am I supposed to do with you?
And the prisoners who are now fit to be released are beamed into... I mean, it's basically a Falcon Studios porn set, right?
Right. I mean, it's like Voyager, famous for having oodles and oodles of excess space available to them.
Oh, so this is the very cargo bay that they beamed into first.
Right.
I noticed that in the Jeeps, that they already had, containers that sort of looked like cells that just hadn't been finished yet.
Yes, okay.
So they whipped this up in no time flat.
Yeah, they put like 8 cells, small, bed, bunk, and grating so you can get good overhead camera shots.
Yeah, that's very handy.
No toilet, I noticed, which would have been kind of make things a little bit awkward.
Yeah, I mean, on Star Trek, we've never actually seen a toilet, so we still assume that they just beam stuff out of wherever you keep the whatever you don't need anymore.
Now we know why O'Brien always looks so dour when he's standing. Anyway.
Oh, that's grim. But Tuvok is bragging to Yedick, who is just complaining about everything.
The force fields are impenetrable, as are the tritanium bulkheads.
And despite never having, had more than one prisoner at a time, I don't think, aside from, I think, the initial interaction with the Marquis, he set up this whole schedule with...
In addition to your staff, 2 Voyager security officers will remain here at all times.
Yep.
And 2 more posted there, and it's kind of a cool environment.
It kind of looks cool. Yeah, it's kind of it's a simple corridor really with 4 cells on either side.
Yeah.
And already Neelix is on the making
on the
his,
prowl.
yep.
Yeah. Because what's this?
Talaxian spice stew served over Leola rice pilaf. It's an old family recipe.
But no, this doesn't meet with Yedic's approval because these people don't deserve good food.
Well, says Neelix.
Federation guidelines are quite clear about the treatment of prisoners.
Yep.
Yeah, I can show you the protocols. Do you want to see the protocols?
Yes.
Rub them in
fair
your
enough.
face.
And it's they might be your prisoners, but they are being held prisoner on our ship, so we're doing it by our standards.
Well, Yedic negotiates by quietly seizing all the
Spoons,
silverware.
yes. Presumably because they're dangerous, but I think just because he wants to be a dick about it.
Well, a bit of both.
Yeah.
Hey, having seen the episode, do you think Yedic's a bad guy?
No. I think
Right?
he's just a product of his the system that he grew up in.
And daily contact with some people, some of whom are actual, killers, as, just going by what we see in this episode, right?
Yeah.
We don't know anything about their lives before or since.
No.
So we have to assume that instead of real people, these characters are analogs for, the kind of things that...
Yeah. They are murderers. At least they've been convicted of murder.
Yeah.
Which is, especially in the case of the other guy, dubious to say the very least.
Which one do you mean?
The other guy.
The Bankaran.
The Bankaran, yes.
Yeah,
Although
Joleg.
he doesn't actually deny it.
He never says
Yeah.
that he didn't do it.
Yes. He says what I say doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
it's he doesn't actually deny it. So that's an interesting little thing.
Yeah, so when you work in an environment where there are people who exploit sympathy and empathy as weakness for their own gain and for other people's harm,
Yep.
that's not something that you can afford if that's a career that you pursue.
Very good point, yeah. The Doctor and Seven are having a little discussion. Yes, the Doctor is vehemently against the death penalty and even any participation in this, even if it is transport.
Yeah, as he is required to be.
Yeah, and Seven is a lot more... open-minded or about it, because it's this is the way it is. We have to abide by their legal system.
Yes, because she says to him,
You often encourage me to see both sides of an argument.
Yeah,
but just being dispassionate and listening to people who speak calmly is not the same as respecting 2 reasonable opinions.
absolutely. But yes, this is one of the things that comes up. Okay, so death penalty or life in prison. Now, okay, so this is you can argue for several ways on this. Death penalty is always bad because you might be wrong.
Yes,
That's other than that,
and there is a fairly high statistical likelihood
absolutely
that
and
the letter of the law wasn't followed, at least.
And other than that, not sure what's crueler. Executing someone or keeping someone on for life for 40. Life without parole is essentially a very slow death penalty.
So is the function of prison protection of society?
Right, exactly.
Or is it the experience of the prisoner?
Right.
Right. Which of those is important?
Absolutely. Well, that's one of the points that this episode addresses.
Yeah. I mean, not to delve into the topic too harshly, but even the methods of. I read an article about the current protocols for execution as used in the United States.
Right.
Which involved no medical practitioners because no medical practitioner is permitted to participate.
Hippocratic oath and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, not even to speculate, not even to advise. So it was put together
Actually,
by.
I think there's a medical practitioner who there's a doctor who has to determine death.
Oh yeah.
That's
of course.
yeah.
But that's a regular medical procedure,
Right,
not related to the practice of execution. It was a lawyer who had medical training who proposed the 3 injection method, but never imagined it would be performed by untrained personnel.
Good point. Yes,
which it isn't. And
also the chemicals are almost impossible to get in the US at this point. I mean, the chemicals are easy to get, but they can't get them for executions because several producers have literally said, if you ever use them for an execution, we will withdraw the entire supply.
The EU ceased exporting at least one component because it could be used.
Right. Well, it is, but it's still, it could be, but they say, you can have it as long as we ever catch you using it for an execution. We'll stop it, and it's also used in lots of legitimate
yes, exactly.
surgeries.
Which is, the EU policy for exporting various substances to other countries as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really grim. Although we don't know anything about the execution methods. Maybe it's,
No.
cake or death. Maybe it's, the comfy chair.
Maybe just transport you and disengage your transporter beam or something, and then you're just gone. And it seems like a painless way to go.
That was a misspeech there that...
Sorry?
You sort of misspoke there.
Almost, yes.
It's about
painless.
as far away from what you meant as it was possible to get. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I'm so desperate to find any comedic angle to this episode that I'm actually trying to make jokes out of little things like misspeakings.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Well.
I'm simply being objective.
But the Doctor says that his programming doesn't allow him to do that.
No.
He has an excellent point, which is that killing is wrong no matter who's doing it.
Yep.
And while Seven she makes a decent argument, I think,
yes,
by saying that when you're discussing the treatment of the convicted committer of a crime, it's fair to also consider the fate of the victims.
True. Yeah.
Right? Rehabilitation is a possibility for a living person.
Their victims won't have the same opportunity.
And then it basically turns into what's your value system like? Yeah.
Yeah.
How much is it a prison for punishment? How much is it for revenge? How much is it for redemption? Profit. Yeah, that's also another one. Yes.
Comedy podcast.
There's a bit of a establishing character scene between the various prisoners and the
yes,
and also an opportunity for Aiko to get his head kicked in.
Yes. Because we have Aiko, who's gruffly, disdainfully, throwing his food bowl aside. Joleg, who's jovial, whom we also saw as Officer Muniz, a Starfleet officer during the Dominion War on Deep Space Nine, and other things as well, who's very charming and very talkative and says,
"Still hungry? I can hear your stomach from here. This must be the first time in a month you couldn't steal poor Egrid's meal."
But he's just sort of sitting in the background.
Towering, yes.
Yeah, like fucking Dracula's familiar, like Igor. Nibbling bugs in the background. Renfield, that's what I was looking for.
Cause another disturbance, and I'll see to it you're not fed the rest of this journey.
And Aiko says to Yedick,
Boche and Ladara.
Which are the names of Yedick's children.
Yes, and he's like, how do you know that?
Are you sure they're safe?
Yeah. An implied threat there.
Yes, very much so.
To which Yedick responds by ordering a code red. You're goddamn right, I ordered the code red!
Yes, and basically tells his two guards to give him a beating, which gets interrupted by the security crew from the Voyager.
Yep. Who don't back down.
No.
Right?
Lower your weapons and step away.
Yeah. They're standing there with...
well trained by Tuvok.
Yeah, their own weapons drawn, and it's like, hang on, this is like, we don't do that here.
And then we get a great scene. I think this is maybe my favorite scene.
Where
Yedick gets a dressing down from Janeway.
Yep.
While Tuvok just stands completely silently in the background. I don't think he gets any lines at all, and it's great.
I think he says...
Aye, Captain.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. That was an interesting day's work for a trained actor to just stand in the background out of focus.
I mean, Legolas, man.
What? Oh, yeah, he is in the background of an awful lot of scenes.
Yes.
I wonder if he did the sort of Denise Crosby maneuver of asking, can you just put replicated legs in the... Can you just make a cast of my legs and have them standing behind Picard's...
We don't really need me standing there.
I'm standing for 16 hours a day to deliver no lines. Come on, guys.
You can't even see my face. Yes.
So Janeway asks him how he justifies beating up a defenseless man. He says...
Violence is the only thing he understands.
And she snaps back straight away with...
You seem to have a pretty good grasp of it yourself.
But yes, he tells him that he spent his life hurting people, and that's just what we do.
And he says that it's his responsibility to discipline them, but...
As long as you're aboard my ship, I won't risk any more violence.
He questions Tuvok's competence.
He doesn't even flinch.
No, he looks a bit disdainful at him, but again, Janeway leaves no margin of error.
Gets right in his face.
Believe me, he's qualified.
Yeah.
he's just like, I hope you're right.
He's been in Starfleet security for... And In my headcanon, she briefly looks over at the very age-sensitive Tuvok. Very long time. I got you, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, they're Vulcans. They get old, so... Doc is repairing Ico. There's been some neurological damage, and Seven's nanobots to the rescue.
Yes. Yeah, because there's a hematoma, which is something with blood.
I think it's a blood clot.
Yeah, which is preventing neurotransmitters from moving around. And therefore, he'd like to extract some of her handy little do-everything bots.
Yes, plot bots.
And she says...
I'll comply.
And the Doc says...
I sense a butt coming.
Yeah, he has a special sense for butts. You can always sense a butt coming.
Wow. Okay. Depends on where you put your finger, I guess, which is also a part of the Doctor's job.
Oh, God. Now we're back to the glory holes, which you should Google. If you made it this long without Googling it, I'm so proud of you. You're an innocent unicorn, and I will protect you. Good grief.
Why am I complaining about you using that word? I wrote the script. I introduced this idea. Okay, no, fine. Okay, I can't blame anyone but myself. Editor Greg is paying for, like, a few weeks ago, Greg. This is great. You know what? This is what a glory hole is. A glory hole is where Gowron goes to seek glory. Just puts his eyes there, Robert O'Reilly's big eyes, and just demands glory. Don't look it up. Please don't look it up. I'm not responsible for what you do with your internet history. The Joy of Trek does not condone what you Google on your own free time. That's up to you.
But, of course, the Doctor still hasn't given up on preventing that from happening.
It reminds me of a joke that I learned from the television series Odyssey 5, and it's a Japanese joke, which you can tell because it's not, like, funny. So
yes.
A famed and noble samurai has been taken captive after his evil master was defeated in battle. And some soldiers are taking this samurai over the mountain to his execution. And one of the soldiers recognizes the samurai, and like this was a man of honor. He happened to be working for a bad lord. It's very unfortunate.
And Japanese also.
Mm-hmm. And while they stop to water their horses at an inn with the samurai bound up in the cart, he spies a fig tree. So he goes and picks some figs and goes over to the samurai and says, like, "Sir, I've always held you in the highest regard. I have nothing to offer you as a last meal or to help you escape or whatever, but I did find these figs for you." And the samurai says, "No, thank you. They're bad for my health."
Yes.
Which is great because, in this moment, he's still my patient.
Yeah.
Because, all my patients die.
Very good point.
All of them have always, they're always going to die, and I'm still going to treat them.
Because, we're gonna do what we can and what we should at this point in time. So, Neelix starts his get-together with the other prisoner.
Joleg.
The
jovial Joleg. It's Joleg who initiates this conversation. He says...
You're wondering why I'm here.
And opens up that whole conversation with Neelix during feeding time as, Neelix's gift is passed through the glory hole and eagerly received by... Look, it just looks like the set of, like, Jeff Stryker's Power Tool. Tell me that it doesn't.
I don't think I've seen that one, but...
It's a classic.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll take it. That's what he said.
But Joleg conveys that the primary reason why he's in jail is for being a Bankaran in the vicinity.
It's heavily implied, yes.
Yeah.
That's the way he's trying to steer Neelix's thoughts.
I mean, it's possible that he never lies.
True, but we don't know.
Right? It's possible that he did the murder and still all this systemic injustice is also true.
Yeah. Two facts can be correct at the same time, yes. So, in the meantime, Ico is actually... Okay.
Oh, it's a New Orleans song. Your grandma and my grandma sitting by the fire.
Oh, I know that one, yes.
Your grandma said to my grandma, I'm going to set your flag on fire. Talk about, hey now, Aiko ane. There you go. Chacamofino wana. It's a lovely song. We do a duet sometime.
Sure. But he's not feeling so well.
Oh, my tummy hurts.
First his head pain.
Oh, yes.
My head.
The pain is normal. I'll prepare an analgesic.
And walks through the force field, a very cool special effect that I see a lot of this episode.
They get their mileage out of that one. And then goes and he gets a tummy ache because he's feeling guilty.
He does have a moment with Seven.
Uh-huh.
to whom he observes, "You weren't afraid."
And she's like, well, why should I be afraid of you?
And he says, "No, before.
Yeah.
Like when I had a knife to your throat, you weren't afraid of me either."
Yeah.
And he says,
It's nice to look into someone's eyes and not see fear.
Yeah. I mean, sure. You can do that by not being a dickhead and being just nice to people. That works really well for them.
but this is Aiko's brain being rewired, right?
No, I get that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I get that.
But yeah, a lot of people can have these nice things, but also, systemic injustices.
Just be less of a dickhead, and then people will generally be nicer, not look at you if they fear you.
In a fair system, one would hope that.
Also,
would be
this
the
guy
outcome.
isn't a Ben Karen, so you'd think that he's getting more of a fairer treatment.
Do you think he's the same species? Do you think he's a Nigerian?
I think so, yes, or one of the other ones, but definitely not Ben Karen. I think the Ben Karens have more of the cheekbones. And then
yes, they have the eye sockets that are.
Yeah, and then you've got the Nigerians, which are, and I'm like I said, I'm still not sure whether or not Aiko and Yedick are both the same species or not. But
yeah, they don't seem to have the same.
They both have the
foreheads.
No, but they do have the same glowy dots.
Oh yes, and I think the Ben Karens have some of that as well. They have light sort of spots, like they're all genetic cousins of,
who knows?
related species.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, very.
Neelix is starving the crew.
Do you have to be a criminal to get something to eat around here?
Sorry, dinner will be ready in 15 minutes.
You said that 15 minutes ago.
Which is, I think, a war crime. Like withholding food from prisoners just for the purposes.
They can use the bloody replicator, man. It's like...
Yeah, but it doesn't... It's not as... Why don't they use the replicator? Why do they complain about his food all the time?
I don't know. Like in the beginning, it's easy because they don't. They have replicator rationing. Later on, no idea. Maybe they just got used to it.
They've still got rationing going on.
Okay. But yes, we heard that basically they've allowed Neelix to download everything in result for cultural exchange, including prisoner files and, court case documents and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, they are public record.
Sure, yeah.
At least, in our society, court transcripts are, for, various important reasons, they have to be public record.
Yes.
But yeah, I love, he's sort of standing over the fire with his apron on, reading his pad.
Yeah.
In front of a
wok-like device.
Yeah, the flames have always fascinated me. On his hob, he has the most beautiful sort of artistic flames that I always thought are they CGI? They're so gorgeous.
Right. Are they real fire? Are they? I mean, it seems like unlikely they'd have that on a set like so frequently. But then again, who knows?
Even the entire set burning down is probably cheaper than having that special effect 5 times in an episode.
Good point. Yes.
And the rebels, B'Elanna and Tom, force the sliding doors open.
Yes, like, oi, get with the cooking.
Feed us. But instead of feeding them, he enlightens them.
They occupy just 10% of Nigerian space, but take up nearly 80% of the space in Nigerian prisons.
When they're not being executed.
Yeah. And the immediate response is...
Maybe they commit more crimes.
Yeah.
Says the white guy.
Who's also a criminal.
Yes. Well, that's his perspective then. Because he's got Joleg's
Let
number.
me guess. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, of course, like everybody always is.
Because he spent a bunch of time in at least a Federation penal colony. Yeah. He was a convict himself, surrounded by other convicts. And yeah, he too spent time in an environment where empathy is.
Everybody had
weakness.
a story. Everybody, like, yeah, sure. We all have. Everybody had a story. Never put much stock in them.
Yeah, and he says to Neelix,
I know what you're thinking.
That you're the softest touch in the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah.
But Neelix does make a final good point.
How many of those people were sentenced to die?
Yeah.
Which Paris doesn't have a reply to.
No. Because one presumes that in the Federation, the purpose of prisons is very much like rehabilitation, insofar as, resources stretch.
Doctor decides, like, we're going to summon 7 to the sick bay for more nanobot extraction. Not even as much as a buy your leave. It's just like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to milk you for some more of these.
I mean, she's already given her consent.
True.
She said, I'll comply.
Yeah, that's the first time round. But
yes, consent can always be withdrawn.
Exactly. It's polite, like when you need someone to. It's like, it's not like you get a letter from the blood bank saying, like, you donated blood to us. We need you again on Monday. Be there. Yeah.
in beautiful sort of Gothic cursive font. I invite you to my parlor for science, for donations.
We will
yes.
taking one pint of your blood.
And it's the strangest thing, he says.
When he first arrived, he was crude, abusive. Now he's a model patient, grateful, considerate.
Yeah, it's very nice. And a notable patient who is suddenly in distress because his guy can't stop thinking about the man I killed. And the doctor immediately diagnoses, oh, that must be guilt.
Yeah, well, he says...
Is that why I'm feeling sick?
Nausea could be a symptom of guilt.
I think I'm going to revive my boots of conclusion jumping and award him to the doctor in this episode for immediate diagnosis that it must be guilt that he's feeling.
Oh, is he? Yeah.
You're experiencing guilt.
No, it's Seven.
Oh,
She
Seven.
says it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, good point, yes. And then the doctor rolls with it. No, you're right. I'm wrong there.
And he asks to have the nanites removed because...
Yes.
I don't want to feel this way anymore.
Yeah.
You're punishing me for this, and, well, no, not really. This seems to be an unintentional side effect.
Yes. Because the doctor determines that... Okay, so he very quickly identifies how the Nigerian brain works.
Right, yes. Although, that's actually, there's actually a jump in those scenes, but yes. But basically what has happened is he has the equivalent of the human pineal gland, that's the one, or something like that, which contains emotions and empathy, and it's been basically been disconnected as a birth defect. So he's not being able to, basically made him a psychopath.
Yeah, in that there are neural architectures associated with psychopathy, which was a pretty big shock for the doctor who discovered those markers, who then discovered them in himself.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's peculiar. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you get with double-blind testing.
Yeah.
The neurotransmitters have established new pathways throughout his cortex.
Wasn't that your intention?
No. I was simply trying to bypass the edema.
Yeah, apparently they identified 2 dysfunction in his brain and solved both of them.
Yeah.
And now new pathways are forming in his brain.
Yes, and he's suddenly experiencing guilt and conscious.
Yeah, and a degree of emotional regulation that he wasn't capable of before.
Yeah.
And when he has some more time with Seven, he really wants a connection with her.
Yeah.
Stay. Talk to me.
I'm extremely busy.
Please. I'm scared.
And he doesn't have an agenda or anything.
No. He's just he wants company. He wants, I guess, maybe even just distraction from being alone with his thoughts.
And as soon as she mentioned that she's extremely busy and she's got to go to astrometric, he asks what that is. He's interested in what she's got going on. And when he learns that it's about, studying the stars,
then he's oh, yeah. Oh, I used to look at stars.
It was like that. It seems very nice.
Yes. Even made up, did he make up his own constellations? Or
yes.
That's,
It sounds like, because he's... Oh, yeah.
When I was a child, I'd lie under the stars for hours. I'd stare at them until I could see the shapes.
Yeah.
Faces and animals made out of stars.
You're referring to constellations?
And little stories about this, this constellation was always chasing after that one, but could never catch it. And Seven's actually kind of entranced.
Yeah.
A little bit. She appreciates that a lot.
Oh, look, someone else who likes stars.
This reminds me a lot of a scene from, I think it was the Hobbit, the first or the second film, where the dwarves have been captured by Thranduil, Legolas's dad.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you meant by the trolls. But that's different. No, that's from the Hobbit, yes.
Yeah, that's from the Hobbit. This is from the Desolation of Smaug, the second film.
Oh, right.
And, what was the name of the Tauriel? A female elf warrior who happens to be passing through the prison. And I think Fili or Kili talks to her in very much the same way. He's also an inmate who charms this professional and very busy woman with something related to the sky. He tells her a story about, I saw a blood moon once.
Yeah.
And she sits down and she wants to hear this story, which is, in elvish culture, apparently those are stories worth telling.
I see a blood moon rising.
Right. See a doctor straight away.
Yeah. The Neelix is playing a game with The other prisoner.
The Joleg, playing
Joleg,
Cut is
yes.
Cut. Oh, no.
That's cat is cat.
Gotcha! And they're having tremendous fun together.
And having done his research in the legal system, he is like, okay, he's asking, like, how does this work? Because, like, some harsher murders don't seem to get punished, and others, oh, well, that's very simple, because the victims, the family of the victims decide the punishment.
Yep.
Much too...
called... Yep.
Favor the victims.
Which is when guilt has been determined, it's the relatives of the victim who decide on the punishment.
Yep.
Which, well, that's actually really hard to argue with as a cultural practice, because it doesn't affect the process by which guilt is determined.
Right.
Right, and the determination of a punishment fitting the crime, which is punitive, right?
Yeah,
it's not rehabilitative.
Yeah, no, totally.
Is always an expression of cultural values.
Also true, yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well, and Neelix mentioned it.
Well, shouldn't you be sentenced by someone less partial, like a judge?
But that's a cultural thing, yeah. So.
Yeah. Although it does get a bit harsher when it's discovered that sometimes if you have enough money, you can make a settlement.
Yes.
Because sometimes
that
the families...
happens as well here, in certain cultures. That's
regrettably.
Yeah.
It's weird.
You just can pay your way out of it.
Yeah, pay your way into heaven. And asks Neelix to do him a favor.
Yes, he wants to, send a letter to his brother so his brother knows what happened to him. Which is, you'd think that, again, with court cases being public and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's sneaky.
Yeah. It's being sneaky. 7 gives Aiko a...
It's an astrometrics log. It contains data on various star formations.
Oh, here, you like stars. Here, have a boring table of data about stars.
Yeah, and you see him sort of very excitedly poking at it. It's
just numbers. Words and numbers.
Yeah. And 7 goes, oh, yeah, I guess there is a difference to some people. It just hadn't occurred to her.
No.
She just expected him to be, because she'd be super excited.
Right, yeah. Ooh, look at all this astrometric data.
Look at that albedo.
Not really a thing with stars, but...
No, what is it? Magnitude, amplitude?
Albedo is reflectivity, so...
Oh, yeah, that's true. And they must also have a degree of reflectivity that's really hard to measure through their emission.
I was going to say, yeah, it's kind of like... It'd be hard to have anything... reflect off a star which is not completely drowned out by...
Wouldn't you then be real excited by that data and go, oh, how can you detect that through all of this?
I mean, would a star even bounce back photons?
Why wouldn't it?
I mean, you'd think it needs... Oh, yeah, good point. Because it's emitting so many photons, you'd think that... I don't know. No idea.
So it emits photons because of fusion primarily, and secondarily because of black body radiation, and then a few other things that I don't know about. But
yeah, apparently it takes a really long time for photons that get generated in the center of the star to migrate out towards the surface.
So when I was 7, I think, I did a paper on gold, and I learned this model of reflection. I have no idea how accurate it is, but that a photon arrives in an atom and interacts with an electron, which then goes into a higher energetic state because it's just absorbed the energy of a photon.
Right.
But that higher energetic state is unstable, and eventually it collapses back into its stable state, and that excess energy has to be ejected in the form of a photon,
right?
Which is, which has properties that are related to the original photon that arrived.
Right, but isn't the same. Okay, I mean, I know that luminescence often works on that principle, but I didn't know that was reflection as well. Okay.
So there may be other ways in which, atoms can release energy through photons. One of them is blackbody radiation. If they have a certain temperature,
right,
then they'll just continuously emit these photons as they cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay. So the doctor here discovers that, yes, it is his pineal gland or whatever it is that...
good job identifying the brain structure of a completely alien species...
And maybe he downloaded the information from their medical systems,
And he explains to the captain that, yes, he was born a psychopath, unable to regulate his emotions, unable to imagine other people's pain.
Yeah.
And we've now fixed that.
Yeah. Because...
You've activated his conscience.
Which means that he's technically a different person now, I suppose.
Yeah, that's Seven's argument.
Yeah.
By some definitions, Captain. He's not the same man who committed the murder.
Yeah.
They present this information to Joleg.
Yeah. Who is...
So what?
Are you suggesting we release him?
Yeah.
Because he's sorry.
But yeah, like now they're bumping into a completely different value system as well. And also they're dealing with someone who his only responsibility is the execution of the determinations of the vestige system.
Maybe not even that. His only responsibility might well just be to get them to wherever they need to be.
Oh, I used the wrong word. Execution of the outcome of the justice system.
Right.
But
Sorry.
performing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's just a warden.
Yeah. Or the captain of a transport ship. But he is cynical because he says,
he's obviously deceiving you somehow.
He's not buying it.
But when the captain and Tuvok ask him a question, he does admit that,
in accordance with Nigean Penal Code, a capital defendant has a right to appeal his sentence to the family of his victims.
And Janeway goes, you, Tuvok, arrange that.
Yeah.
Much to Aiko's chagrin, who is like, no, I don't want the appeal. I want to die for my sins.
Yes, because I've just discovered emotions and now I'm going full emo.
Yeah.
I just want to write poetry. I want as much tragedy as I can manage. No, of course not. He continues to bond with Seven.
Yes.
Like, she's his connection with...
Yes. Seven admits to having lied earlier when he asked her about her insert.
Yes.
The Borg thing. And apparently they do that without anesthetics. They just like plop them right on in.
Yep. Which she described as...
It was one of the most painful experiences of my life.
Apparently, which is also the prescribed way to remove it. As we learn in...
yeah, yes. Ooh, that was grim.
Comedy podcast.
Yeah. We do struggle sometimes, but hey, it is a nice change of pace. And I've got to say, Rugger was right on the ball when they described this as a preachy episode that really works, because connecting to Seven, even though one could argue that that's a little bit inconsistent, because in previous episodes of Voyager, she has already successfully distanced herself from the actions of the Borg in general. She hadn't felt that responsibility. And now she's sort of having to deal with it. She's seeing somebody else struggle with actions that he took when he was a different person, but that were still taken by a version of him.
I mean,
My nanoprobes have given you control. You're a different person now. You don't deserve to be executed.
He disagrees. The force field effect gets another bit of a workout.
Yep.
He wants to go back to his shield. Because, I'm not sick anymore, so don't give me special treatment.
Is he touching it to inflict pain on himself?
I think that's the implication, but I don't think it really... Does it hurt? I mean...
I don't know.
They never really make a point of letting you know whether or not... I mean, force fields are touched quite often, and rarely do you see someone react painfully to it.
But he wants to be returned to his cell because he's no longer sick. He doesn't want special treatment.
Yes. Well, returned he is, and he refuses the food that Neelix wants to give him, and makes Neelix give it to the guy that he was stealing food from before. Yes.
Yeah. Who now has a stack of 2 bowls that he's really happy with.
Yes.
Cackling while he sits in the corner, making little sort of paper men out of his sleeves. I don't know what he's doing. He's a weird little creep, that guy.
He is a bit, yeah. You don't know. Well, apparently also a murderer, so who knows?
Yeah, all 8 of them.
Family has refused to hear the appeal.
Yep. In spite of the medical evidence, in spite of all that.
Seven argues that he should be given asylum.
Your system is flawed.
Yeah. That's her go-to move. You are flawed.
Yeah.
You are not perfect.
Yeah. So we can't have that.
It's interesting that Janeway delivers this news to Seven in the presence of Yedick. That she calls this. This is, I don't know, she considers this such an important topic that it's worth discussing with the 3 of them, and she gets to hear the Nigerian perspective straight away, and then she dismisses Yedick.
Yep. And keeps talking to Seven. Because, yes, she wants to know why she's so passionate. And, she says that she's been given a chance, and she feels that Aiko should be given that chance as well.
Yeah. And very correctly, Janeway
examines Seven's motives behind this.
Yes, because...
I think part of you still feels responsible for the violent acts you committed when you were a Borg.
Which Seven denies, but Janeway keeps pushing.
Yep.
Maybe you believe if Aiko is found not guilty, somehow you won't be guilty either.
Yep.
And Seven doesn't have anything to say to
that.
No.
She just slinks off here.
Which is really fascinating. That's a really good examination of someone's motives. You're making this other person's cause an archetype for yourself.
Yeah.
You want an externalized resolution for your own internal struggle.
Very good point. Yeah, I hadn't really considered it that way, but yes, I think you're right on the money there.
Rucker, this was a great recommendation.
Depressing, though.
It's uncomfortable dealing with these topics, right? Because we live in a circumstance of privilege where we don't have to. We're not forced to.
True.
As regrettably very many people are.
Action.
Bam! Explosions. That's what we need.
Yes.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta! Pew, 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 pew. Out of nowhere...
Alien vessel drops out of warp and starts shooting.
Yeah, and inflicting quite a lot of damage despite only being just a little guy.
Yeah, a little tiny little ship. Must be a gunboat or something.
Yeah.
Manages to do some damage. Prisoners manage to escape. Fortunately, they knew exactly where to shoot the Voyager to get the power to fail on the decks where the prisoners were being held.
Yeah.
No independent redundant systems for something as important as a force field, you know.
No. Apparently, it's that easy.
The security guards get overwhelmed quite easily.
Yes, and now we have some prisoners on the run, except for Aiko.
Yes, he stays behind.
Yeah.
All the other prisoners start running through the corridors. Some of them get taken down by security.
Yeah.
But some of them manage to take a hostage. No one less than Joleg. What's his name?
Yedik.
Yeah. Yes.
Whom they drag back to the cargo bay that served as their prison. And it's Joleg, in fact. The jovial Joleg who has Yedik.
And they demand a shuttle, and they will be going.
There's a cool special effect where Igor is made to seal the doors with his rifle.
Oh, man, that's like, that never ceases to amaze me, like how steady those people can hold their rifles, you know?
You know, I imagine that there's a bit of auto-aiming in the rifles.
You kind of have to,
yeah.
I mean, if you've ever seen someone hold a gun with a laser sight attached to it.
Oh, right, yeah.
They're bounce all over the place. People have no idea how... You see, in the movies, you always see them steady and go like, "Oh, nice tripod that you're mounting that laser on." Because there's no bloody way that you can hold it that steady.
Now there are assistive technologies for like people with problems with motor control, like people with Parkinson's, like self-stabilizing spoons, silverware. Which famously, like several camera manufacturers contributed their proprietary data that they use for vibration reductions in their cameras. Like all from their own extremely competitive research, but donated to these causes to...
Right, so here you go, use this information.
Because that's based on how do things move when they're held in people's hands.
Right, yeah.
And they go in these specific frequencies because that's how our muscles can
Right, yeah.
And I wonder if any of those technologies have been applied. Someone with Parkinson's can eat a bowl of soup without spilling.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were going to say aim a gun.
But yes, how could you apply that to... I hope that nobody with motor control problems is ever forced to use firearms for any reason. But
oh gosh, no. That sounds like a really bad idea.
But if they have to, or if it's a recreational activity, maybe there are assistive technologies that are helpful. One would hope.
Okay, yes. So there's a little bit of foo-fa in the cell block.
Yeah, because Joleg is holding Yedik at gunpoint. And Yedik says,
"You're not getting off this ship."
And then Joleg says,
"And I suppose I should kill you right now."
And that's when Aiko steps in.
Yes, he said, "No, he's mine.
Yeah.
I want to kill him."
And Joleg's like, yeah, kill him.
Hands over the weapon.
And then Joleg hands it to Yedik.
Yeah. And
takes out Joleg and another inmate, or Igor, I think it is.
I think so, yes.
And... aims it at Aiko, who's already surrendered.
Yep.
And now,
I mean, that's what you kind of do by handing your jailer the weapon back that you were professing that you were going to use to kill him with. But yes,
which Yedik doesn't say anything.
No, but he does look at him. Like he does see that like there's been a bit of a change.
Yeah.
Which leads to Aiko getting to speak to the family of the man he murdered.
Yeah.
And he pleads with them.
Not for his life. But only for them to understand that he's changed. And he credits this crew, and he looks at Seven specifically. And he says very magnanimously,
"If my death helps you find peace, I can accept it.
Yep.
But if you let me live, I will never hurt anyone again."
And he gives him, a heartfelt apology, which is like, whatever you decide, like, please know how sorry I am.
And we also get a final confrontation between Neelix and Joleg.
He traced the transmission to Voyager. He's the one who attacked us.
So, yeah, you took advantage of me, so no, we're not going to be playing anymore.
And here is possibly the only lie that Joleg would have to have told when he says,
Neelix, I swear I had no idea he would do that.
Yeah.
But also, it might not be a lie. You don't know with Joleg. No. But Neelix is right not to trust him, I think.
He tries one last ploy. Basically, I feel sick, won't eat. I must have the same condition ICODE has.
And
if your doctor cures me, I can make an appeal for my life too.
Neelix is just like... Pfft.
And Neelix is disgusted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ico gets a nice moment in astrometrics with 7.
This is genuinely nice. And the astrometrics lab is also just a fantastic set.
Oh, yes, it is.
He sits on the platform and points out all the constellations that he remembers, looking at the stars.
And the bad news comes in that the family has denied his appeal.
Yeah, like right after a discussion of what are you going to do if they let you go? You could stay on the ship, maybe.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, bad news. No.
The family has denied your appeal.
We're due to rendezvous with a transport ship in a few hours.
Yep.
Over the mountain. Here, have some figs.
Yeah, no, bad for me.
They give me the shits.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that to my executioner.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And it's completely silent, the rest of this scene. Oh, no, there's one more thing.
Yeah, there's a final scene between Janeway and 7.
Oh, there's one more scene between 7 and Ico, even.
Is there?
Yes, because 7 sort of looks away from Ico, and he says...
You were the first person who wasn't afraid to look me in the eye.
And that's how he wants to remember him.
Yeah.
Or her. Because, she was looking away because she'd failed him or whatever.
Yeah. Although, even though it was none of her, I mean, I guess people can think of having failed in situations like that, even though they had no control or say over any part of it.
It is possible to make no mistakes and still lose.
That too.
Yeah.
Yes. Captain comes complimenting 7 that, like, oh, you did it in a 3-day analysis in 22 hours.
I'm impressed. Way to avoid your emotions by overworking yourself. What a great thing to do. Hey, overwork yourself.
I haven't felt the need to regenerate.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
So you're skipping sleep, and you know what? I'm going to praise you for it. If you put it, I wish I had 10 more of you who were just working their way through the pain because I sure do love the productivity.
She has a little bit of an existential, crisis that Ico was executed for taking a single life.
As a drone, I took thousands. But I was never punished.
Yeah. On the other hand, you can argue that, as a drone, she didn't have any... do drones have individual power to decide what they do or do not?
It doesn't appear to be the case.
No.
But it also doesn't appear to be, like...
Even then, if you want to do it, but you're made to want it. That doesn't... It's
Well, okay, so not to delve into a completely different episode, but we do encounter one other episode in Voyager with the cooperative, a planet with ex-Borg, who still have that architecture in their brain. And there's a conflict between them, and one faction wants to turn that architecture back on as a negotiation technology, because if we can think and feel what everybody else is feeling,
and we can achieve a consensus.
Right, which is what the Federation does. We have to communicate, right?
Yeah,
Except we don't want to spend years killing each other waiting for that to work. We want to do it now. And instantly, the war is over, and they're unified. And in one voice, they say, thank you, Voyager, on your way. You've helped us. And it's really scary. But at the same time, isn't this what you want? Don't you want people talking to each other?
Yeah. But Janeway kind of consoles or maybe puts things into perspective and basically...
You lost 20 years of your life to the Borg. I'd say that's punishment enough.
To which 7 has some doubts, I would say, reading her expression.
Yeah.
She's considering it. She's not wholeheartedly agreeing with it, but...
And Janeway just walks out.
Yeah. Deal with it, bitch. Yay. Another fun episode.
Oh, I want to look at Rugger's recommendation again, because I always enjoy that perspective. And Rugger says, for Rugger, it really shaped how they see justice.
Yeah.
Which I can totally appreciate.
Yes.
Because, whether you're on Team Yedic or Team Neelix, the lessons that you're taking from this taking it at face value, here is someone who was genetically or biologically predisposed to criminal activities because couldn't regulate and whatever, and now they're a better person.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that and consider ourselves just? But also, like, Neelix becomes more cynical. The Yedic has his cynicism tested.
Yeah.
7 gets to re-examine her own guilt from somebody else's perspective.
It's a very powerful episode.
So a really, really fantastic recommendation there, Rugger. I know we made jokes about that Voyagers. We started off with like a streak of episodes with just fucking nothing going on, which was, in hindsight, can we have some more of that, please? Can we go back to the space Irish racist village?
We wouldn't have to sit and deeply examine our social, economical preconceptions and the nature of crime and punishment.
Do me a Discovery one with weird alien makeup. I've got the book that Hauke gave us. It's in the plastic. I want to read it so bad, but thank you for this recommendation. Now, what are we going to do for our segments, Kay?
Well, we're going to find out what was
so fucking cool.
The visual effects department that had to do the force fields.
Glory hole, yeah.
Just the force fields in general, but the force field glory holes. Christ.
Yeah, I was going to go there as well.
I mean, if it is painful, then immediately what you've got yourself there is Glory Hole Gom Jabbar also.
Oy, Glory Hole breast.
On the other hand, it might just be, static. It might actually be a stimulating kind of sensation.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
Yeah, a little bit of vibration.
Oh, yeah. We're making it harder and harder for people who haven't Googled it. Okay, so what did you think was so fucking cool?
Ooh, I was going to go with the force fields as well. So it's... I think I'm going to have to, in that case, probably... No. I always make 7. I always make 7 the so cool part of it. But yes, I did like her part. No, the Doctor. I think I like the Doctor being the Doctor's snarky little "I'm a hologram, you can't hurt me."
Yeah.
And
the eye roll.
Picardo does the best eye rolls. it's like,
yeah. God, they didn't get that many scenes together, but when they did, they had chemistry.
Yeah. And of course, him walking in and out of the force field.
I always loved,
which we see him doing that more often as well. In the scene where Paris gets turned into a lizard. There's also a few times when he walks in and out of the force fielded area.
I mean, that's one of the more expensive special effects because the camera is usually moving then.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
So let's see. We also need to know what scene was left on the cutting room floor.
Captain's log supplemental.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe the soup wasn't very good. Listen, there's just too much risk to me making a funny joke about an episode about people, like, slated for execution. I've been thinking about it, and it's a minefield that I'm not even just, like, for other people's opinions of me if I say some heinous shit, but just, like, I don't going there.
I'm just going to go with Tom Paris and B'Elanna Torres being there and, like, really physically having to grab Neelix and get him back into the cooking and, like... Yeah, we're not leaving here until you make us some Beluscan omelets or whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, and then we discover that B'Elanna's actually a really good cook.
Oh, yes, good point.
Oh, no. And then B'Elanna goes, shit, well, now I'm going to have to erase everyone's memories again. Why did I fall for this?
Not usually her forte, but yes.
No, she's an engineer, so the only way that she knows to do it is to pump a whole bunch of nitrous oxide into...
I was going to say straight up lobotomy, but... Well... All right, so that's the scenes. What are we doing?
Next time on an all-new episode of Star Trek.
So in the next recap episode, which we're doing in 2 weeks, following our story reading, which you can enjoy next week, we're going to find out what the chief has selected for us when we get there. But in the meantime, let's see which clues he's put together to show us what has been selected for our next recap. Because, as always, these episodes are recommended to us by our beloved listeners. And, Kay, would you like to recommend to people to send in their own recommendations?
Yes, if you would like to send in your own recommendation, you can go to joyoftrek.com/links.
Still feel so proud every time that you do it right.
And should you feel it in your heart and wallet to chip in and help us keep the lights on here, pay for the software and the hosting podcast, there's also a link to our Patreon page there.
And we love to hear from people from personal perspectives. Like, imagine like being able to recommend the episode that shaped your vision on other cultures, as when Rugged suggested a matter of honor or the justice system, like how formative it was, or maybe you saw yourself.
And please tell us why you love that episode more than anybody else.
Thank you. So let's see what the next thing is that has been picked. Here comes the first clue.
I see you've changed your dressmaker.
Ooh.
Oh.
Garak. No?
That would be a very jealous Garak.
Yeah. Well, it's just a cover, but he gets really invested in his cover stories.
Well, he must do some genuine tailoring. I mean, otherwise,
a bunch. He quite likes it.
Yeah, otherwise he'd be a rubbish cover story if you can't actually do the cover job.
Yeah, he's been a gardener as well. What else did he do?
Oh, okay.
I read his book. Andrew Robinson wrote a book about Garak.
Oh, okay. Sanctioned?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. A Stitch in Time was called. Very good.
Oh, nice, yes. A stitch in time saves 9, I believe the full expression is.
Oh, yeah, I think I just got that, because, if it tears out, then you need 10 stitches.
Right, yes.
Is that for clothes or injuries, do you think?
I think it's more of a general thing, it's like you don't read by, do your upkeep, make sure that you don't. It's more of a general admonishment than a specific thing that you say. It's like, you don't often usually comment on someone, oh, you've got a little rip in your shirt there, a stitch in time saves 9.
Yeah.
It's not really the kind of thing that you would...
I was really confused when I was reading that book, or actually listening to it. It was read by Andrew Robinson, who played Garak.
Oh, nice.
And I was wondering, when is the time travel plot coming in? Because there's time in the title, and with Star Trek, that almost always means you've got time travel.
Okay,
but
so
alas,
next one.
Yes, next clue incoming.
I wasn't thinking of Captain Kirk. It's the one with those exquisitely shaped ears.
Ew.
His name is Spock.
Dax.
What? No.
I know.
Original series.
She had the hots for Spock in that one episode, but this isn't Trials and Tribulations.
No.
We'd recognized it otherwise. Although, maybe one lives in hope.
I have never before met a Vulcan, sir. Nor I, a work of art.
Oh, that's there's a GIF meme thing of that. I've seen that one. Yeah, so definitely original series. Yeah, it's a fairly classic.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's like one of those memey things on the internet.
Oh, wow.
It's absolutely original series. I can picture it. I have no idea which episode it's from. Definitely original series.
That is remarkable, Kay. Oh, let's find out some more. What's the next one?
This troubled planet is a place of the most violent contrasts. Those who receive the rewards are totally separated from those who shoulder the burden. It is not a wise leadership.
Sounds like an original series conundrum.
Yeah, are they maybe traveling back in time to anywhere in the last... Oh, in forever, actually.
I didn't think... I mean, judging from what I saw about how the woman was dressed, it looks just like a typical... alien society somewhere on the planet, so it's not a time travel thing.
Well, okay, we have. Let's find out what it was.
The episode is TOS 319, The Cloudminders.
Okay, I would not have guessed that, but I'm looking forward to seeing the episode where that GIF.
I'm so amazed
that
I know this.
Yeah, it's like I've seen it come across, that quote instantly recognizable.
That's awesome.
I'd be looking forward to finally seeing the episode that it comes from.
Tail end of the unbeloved 3rd season.
All right, I'm looking forward to doing that. Almost looking forward to doing a nice little fanfic reading with you next week.
Likewise, they're always so much fun.
And that only leaves us with one more thing to do.
I'm leaving Starfleet.
Energize!
I'm coming, Neelix!
We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode with friends Kay and Kaki, production and editing by our chief engineer Greg, and music by Fox Amore. Join us next week for Oh Captain, My Captain, the fanfiction reading, followed by The Cloudminders, TOS 319. Visit joyoftrek.com/links to send us your recommendations, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to Joy of Trek, and we'll see you out there.